All right, family, I'm back on here. This is something totally different. I don't know about y'all, but I often wonder, what have we really learned? And I'm being very serious. I'm not talking about what you learn in your books, if you're in school, or what you learn from the street, but I'm talking about, what have you learned from just your ancestors and people who have come before you? What have you really, really learned? I often wonder, as I continue to live, when I was growing up, and I would ask my ancestors different, they were now the ancestors now, but they were adults, and I would ask them certain things, and they didn't have an answer. What they would say to me is, just keep living. Just keep living. And that would bother me, because I'm young and I think I want to know everything now. But some things you learn over time. Some things you learn as you keep living. And I would always hear these adults in my family talk about these open enemies that black people had against them since they've been here. And when you're a kid, it just kind of sounds like, what are they talking about? Or are these people who they're a figment of their imagination? Because, you be thinking that they sound really crazy to you because you're a baby and you ain't never been nowhere. You don't really know much of anything. So you think to yourself, what the hell are they talking about? Because it just sounds kind of crazy. But as you continue to live, you start to learn. I just want to say this. Growing up, I'm from North Philadelphia, 16th and Swain Street. Very proud of that. My great-grandmother came to that street in like 1902 from Virginia. My great-great-grandmother, who, when freedom came, she was like a teenager or something like that. And so I'm very, very close to my ancestors, always have been. So I began to ask myself questions like, what things were they really trying to share with me? What things were they trying to guide and direct me towards? And what was I supposed to learn from them? But the answer to would always be just to keep living. And that would always bother me because I never really understood what that term meant until very recently, that I understand. Just keep living. What is the purpose? Why do you need to know your ancestry? Why is it important for you to know who your ancestors were? Why you cannot wipe them away? For there are lessons there for you and I. And it's not so much about judging what they did do or should have did or whatever. It's about how are you going to use that now to navigate through this next part of life that we know. See, a lot of things that we're experiencing now in 2019 has everything to do with America and its whole start. And we keep trying to make up excuses for bad behavior. Or we keep trying to make up excuses for groups of people who have always made their living off of our downfall. We keep constantly trying to justify when people don't treat us right, somehow that's a part of the lesson of being a citizen of America. And so, it's okay for people to treat you like a certain way. So these are the things we have to really ask ourselves. What is it that we're trying to really learn? What is the lesson that we're supposed to get? How are we supposed to improve on our line and where we are if we don't know what we are learning? If we don't understand the very basics. See, I have this theory that our ancestors knew the very basics of things. They knew very basic things, which is how they were able to survive when people didn't think they were human beings. That's number one. The second thing is, I totally get that some of this shit is just distractions so that you cannot do the real work. And the real work is very hard to do because it means you have to be vigilant. It means you have to be respectful and responsible and accountable. It means that you have to mold the lives that are attached to your lives. And sometimes that's not always a beautiful thing. Sometimes it means we have to apply discipline to ourselves as well as those we are responsible for. I don't know about y'all, but I come from a people who were responsible for whoever came inside of their circle. So my mom was responsible for a lot of people, and had most of the people we weren't related to, because we're not from California. But every time somebody would come into our circle, my mother took care of them like if they were her own children. And so my mom didn't just say like, oh, this, just take care of me and mine. If my brother did something wrong, she would tell him that was wrong, and this is how you repair it. That's what I know. My mother wasn't into us, our feelings, like if we did something bad. She wasn't worried about us feeling bad. She was about us being accountable, and that you never want to be a burden on your society, on the society, period. You know, my mother always reminded us that we were very rich in spirit and rich in life and value. That's what I learned from my mom. My mother was one of those people, she didn't give a damn how you really felt. You know, especially if you did some shit that wasn't right. She wouldn't sit up there and be worried about your feelings. She didn't let people fuck us up with terms like restorative justice. She's like, you're going to restore and make this shit right now. That's what you're going to do. Because I'm not raising no thieves, no bums, no killers. I don't really raise people who are disrespectful. I just don't do that. So when I look at my line, we don't have nobody in our family who ever went to prison. We don't have nobody in our family that ever went to jail. We don't have none of that shit. My mother sacrificed her life to ensure that we got these very crucial lessons, which turned out to be blessings. You hear me? My mother made some key sacrifices because she came from a people who understood once you start having children, the name of the game is sacrifice. And I watch her struggle with that. Because we are in the era of how people are feeling. We want to make everybody feel good. We got people out here who can't read but got on $500 pair of shoes on. Who are, you know, so that says something about our society and us. I've never seen so many emotional ass boys in my life. I've never seen so many in my life. I'm not trying to be funny. And then people say, well, Ro, why do you always look at the women? Let's be honest, family. 70% of our households are headed by women. See, the way I was raised, I know that the black woman is God. Because if she don't make the sun coming up, the shit ain't coming up. That's how I've seen her. And so it's one thing to want to take credit when your kid is great. Who takes the credit from when your kids ain't fucking great? Who takes responsibility for that shit? It ain't nothing to sit up and be kudos when you've done a good job. There's nothing to do that. But what about when your kid ain't so good? Because I hear some kids say shit in my classes or when I'm interacting with classes. I be like, who the hell, who talks like this around their kids? I've never seen my mama smoke. I never seen my mama drink. She didn't. I'm not going to front. My mother just wasn't. My dad was into it, but not my mom. She took her job of being a mother to the highest level. I used to wonder, damn, do my mom ever do like just regular people shit? And I'm pretty sure she did, but not in front of us. Because she loved and respected us so much. She loved and respected her children so much. I know for me, that's why I'm hardwired. Because this is May. That's the part people see that is May. And it's not easy. Today in my class, me and my kids talked about a lot of stuff. Now I'm talking about my 7th and 8th graders. And they talked about, you know, how sometimes they feel depressed or sometimes they smoke. And I asked them, I said, well, what would make you do that? And they started talking about toxic environments. You know, they started talking about people who could have cheated on them. These are 7th and 8th graders. I'm like, are you kidding me? But this is a part of the reality living in. They talked about broken homes. Some of the girls talked about how they live with their grandparents and that they don't never want to give their parents a chance again. A lot of them talked about their dads being in prison and then getting out of prison and feeling like he got it like that. But somebody had to take care. Like kids understand that shit. And sometimes I wish I could take a tape recorder and tape these babies when they talking and play it for some goddamn adults who really think it's all about them. But don't forget, boo, you brought them here. They didn't come here because they wanted to come here. They came here because you had to bring them here through a sacred act. Even though we don't act like sex is sacred, but it really is. That's a whole nother damn story. Because that goes into another category. But the girls talked about that. They talked about having their heart broken and having no one to really talk to. Not really having parents who understand that. Because all they can say is that you shouldn't be doing no shit like that anyway. But it's like, come on now. Are you talking to your babies? Do you hear them? Do you see what you're exposing them to? Having a conversation with a bunch of fourth, fifth, and sixth graders about colorism, that broke my goddamn heart. But I knew it was real. I couldn't stand up there and act like what they feeling wasn't real. And one of the young ladies started talking to me about a damn phenotype. And I was like, what the hell is that? So our babies are very brilliant and they really understood it. But I feel like this, family. We got to do a better job. We got to do a better job, y'all. We got to cut some of this bullshit off and help our babies pick up a book and read it. Because if they can't read it, what are they going to do when they shut all this technology down? Do your kid ever watch the History Channel? Shit, do you watch the History Channel? Hell, do any of y'all still got any of those black encyclopedia books like the Ebony magazine had that black encyclopedia? Anybody got any books like that of black history? You know what it's like to watch my baby shut down when I start talking about culture and we have a mixed group and the kids that are Hmong and the kids that are Latino and the kids, you know, that come from other cultures know something about their cultures, and black kids are sitting up there like, I think I'm mixed with Indian. That's the only thing they know about their culture. Or seeing them look at everything that's gutter like if it was ours. Do you know what that must feel like? For me, I'm standing up there as a black educator, a woman, a culturalist. Do you know how that makes me feel? And then I have to point out to them things like, do you know we the original people? Do you know we have things inside of our own culture that you should be proud of? But goddamn it, y'all got to help out. Because these children come from somewhere. We got to take our individualism and throw that shit in the trash. We got to take that need to do me. Do that shit before you start having kids. Go do you before you start having kids. Don't start having kids and then start doing me. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. That ain't fair to our babies. They don't deserve that. We got to do a better job. We got to stop making so little and so less of black life. Because I'm very disappointed with black people when we start talking about black life. I'm very disappointed. I have never seen a people make less of black life. You act like killing the black person is like killing a roach on the wall. We got 50 million excuses why it's okay for us to kill each other. That's never okay. We got all these black girls and women missing. We are still going along debating on just bullshit. I'm so glad I'm one of those children who came from a people who ate dinner together at the table. Even in the midst of the crack era when it was really hard, my mom still made us sit at the table and have dinner. But dinner every night was at like 5:30 to 6. In that time frame, we all sat down and ate together when my mother wasn't working. I'm so glad my mom set a menu, and even when she had to work, we knew what we was eating. Our house had never been empty, and my mother was struggling. That's why she died when she was 52. She struggled, and she sacrificed her whole life for her family. So we ain't talking about sacrifice. What the fuck are we talking about? And we're not talking about leaving this planet for better, leaving this planet better than which we found it. Why the fuck is you here? And we're not talking about making sure that our great-great-grandchildren, when they say our name, they will say it with pride and with honor and not on no bullshit. We should not be celebrating somebody being a great fucking dope dealer. We should not be celebrating people like that. We should not be glamorizing that crack era and how much weight you moved and what kind of jewelry and fur coats and shit you had. We should not be celebrating that shit. You will never see a Jew celebrating somebody who helped Hitler gather up the Jews and kill them all. You will never see that in Jewish culture. You will never see that. So what have we learned? What have we learned? If we learned anything, what I learned is that I'm never going to forget the sacrifice, the honor, the bloodshed, and the survival techniques of my ancestors. I'm never going to forget that. And what I've learned is that I have to leave something so much better for my children. Yeah, I get mad because it's ridiculous. If you knew the history of what our people went through here, no other group went through this. No other group went through what we went through. And we survived. And so us to be here now on some bullshit, that should make you mad. We got to do a better job, y'all. Gotta do a better job. Quit with the goddamn set tripping. If you don't like somebody, stay the fuck away from them. You know? Put the guns down. You got a problem with somebody, put your dukes up. Shit, I don't know. I'm from that era. But you going to get in the gun, that's ridiculous. Because there's people who disrespect you all goddamn day and you don't say shit to them. So anyway, fam, I just had to tell y'all that. When I have my certain sessions with my girls, I get so, like, just, woo! You know, I be wanting to do one of them big-ass grandma hugs that you do on people. Be like, baby, it's going to be all right. But I feel like we just got to talk about it. We got to stop with this fucking gun violence. We got to stop with all of these missing black girls and women. We got to stop with the goddamn devaluing of black life. We just got to stop. Because I feel like this, 100 years from now, I won't even be here. Who knows? I may live to be 200 years old. Who knows? But I would want my nieces and nephews and people whose lives I touch, that when they say my name, after my name, they would say blessed memory. Blessed memory. And usually when you say somebody's name and you say blessed memory, it meant that this person was an awesome, beautiful person. Right on, sis. Right on. That is my prayer. That is my prayer. That's what I hope they would say about me. That I did my best, that I tried to leave the planet better than which I found it. That I tried to uplift us all. And even when I maybe didn't have what I needed, I still worked with what I had. Because maybe that's what I needed. And I hope they remember everything. Oh, no, thank you, Jessica. Because I watch you and so many others pass it on. That's all we were supposed to do when we're passing through this life. Thank you so much. Every time I do a live, one of my babies come on here like Jessica and remind me of, hey, this is what it's all about. And I see it when I look at y'all lives and how y'all interact with people. Because what I know to be true, as in those enslavement times, when we had absolutely no power to a degree, we still looked out for each other. I love you too, Jessica. We looked out for each other. We have to remember that. And I'm convinced that we can. Ain't easy, but I know we can do it. And so, family, I just want to come to y'all today and just ask y'all the question, what we learned. What we learned. And to never forget the sacrifice. Never forget those who have come before you. Never forget the past and the history. Never forget that we can make a way out of no way. because so many people have done it. And with that, family, have a good night. Peace.